All right. Last week I forgot to record it in the new style. So let me just change my screen view. Okay. So who we got? All right. Seems the others aren't here yet. We're starting with you, Miss Serena, by the looks of it. Who else? You're the only one that's asked a question that's here right now. So let's start with you. Looks like the universe wants you to go first.
Okay, great.
All right. So basically, I do have a little chuckle at your very clever little boy. So Serena has, is he 4 or almost 4? What is he? Is he 4 already?
No, he'll be 4 in a month or just under.
Okay. Yeah, cool. All right. I knew it was somewhere close to it.
Mm.
And basically, he's eating everything at childcare, eating the whole bowl, and then he comes home to you and won't eat it, and only wants to eat the food that you would prefer to not even feed him, probably, right?
Yes.
You're like, I'd rather give you this as a treat or whatever, once a month, not freaking every day. Chicken nuggets and whatever else. Okay, cool. And I said to you, come with a brave heart so we can have a deep conversation. Martine's response to you was awesome. And I love that she shared her story about, we did lots of food stuff with her son. So, and he's a bit different to Chance, but because he has autism and some sensory stuff as well. So some of his food were sensory and whatever, which we definitely know is not happening with Chance. He eats it willingly at childcare, right?
Yeah.
So this really is an energetic process for you more than anything, okay? So basically, Martine said this, sorry, I'm just watching the waiting room here. Martine said this to you as well, which I was going to say to you as well, which is the principle is parent provides and child decides. Now, in that, when you provide, and this is how, look, when I first, met Zach and Dave, like Zach ate, legit 3 things, right? Now he's got a list of 52 things. However, don't, before you clap your hands, he does have autism level 2 as well. And so he won't eat all of those 52 things at once. It's like this week he loves apples and doesn't like bananas. And next week he'll be off apples and he'll only like grapes or something, right? But the reason I say he does eat 52 things is that through this process, the principles I'm going to share with you, obviously with him, there's other issues as well, which we've been mindful of, but we have been able to get him to try and eat, because we don't put it on the list unless he eats it at least twice, 2 different occasions, right? Can't just be like, oh, I licked it tonight and then it goes on the list. Okay, it has to actually be something he ate. Okay. I'm going to share those principles with you, and I'm saying this to you to give you hope, because and with Chance, I reckon absolute maximum 2 weeks, probably more like a week, but absolute most 2 weeks, you will have a whole different child, okay? And it's really important for his resilience. So think about it like this as I give you this answer. If you don't lean into this and, to some degree, you'll feel like you have to take the hard line sometimes, and you'll feel guilty that he hasn't had enough to eat because you're not going to go make other meals, or, you just refuse to feed him things that you don't really want to feed him or whatever. That if you don't put that boundary in, you hurt him, because you hurt his ability to, be resilient with things in life. Like when he goes to school, right? So I saw your post about, getting you got a call from the school or whatever to say he's been accepted. And when you go to school, it's not about food, but the principle is the same. Bad luck, can't do it here. Bad luck, this is how it works here. I don't like standing in line. Bad luck, we stay in line, whatever it might be, right? And so the principles are the same. And that will be a big shock to his little nervous system if he hasn't had a safe place where he is loved, even when he's being a challenging little bugger, to work himself through all of his feelings when he truly just can't have something he wants. He absolutely just can't, right?
And they're not going to feed him at school. That's what I'm worried about too. I'm going to have to give him a lunchbox and he's going to starve. Like,
correct. Okay, absolutely. So, no worries, Amanda. That's fine, darling. So here's the deal. on that plate, so parent provides, child decides, and you allow him the power to make a choice,
Yes.
including the choice to not eat. Okay.
Mhm.
Let me say this. Humans are like the dumbest mammals on the planet in terms of we eat even when we shouldn't eat. For example, if we get sick, if we're like, come on, you got to eat something, just have a dry biscuit. You got to eat something. You haven't eaten all day. You haven't eaten for 2 days. You have to eat. Every other mammal breaks its leg, gets sick, stops eating, and that's because fasting produces stem cells which heal our bodies. Okay, so if the foods that Chance is like really willing to have with you, he'll pretty much never say no to. It sounds to me like chicken nuggets and stuff. It's probably not even the nugget that he wants. It's the MSG that literally causes a dopamine hit in his brain and literally forms an addiction. Okay. But also know this, if you don't break this cycle with a 4-year-old whose brain is very plastic, the plasticity of his brain is very malleable, it's very changeable right now. And if you don't help him break this, the older he gets and the more ingrained his brain gets with all that wiring, the harder it is. And you set him up. If you don't force him to break, the MSG addiction, for example, you set him up, and there's studies on this, you can go and look, for literally a life of addictions. Of all kinds of addictions, eating addictions, whatever, screen addictions, whatever it turns into later on, all the scary stuff, alcohol, drugs, sex, bloody whatever else, okay? Because it's a wiring in our nervous system, and chemicals such as MSG absolutely hardwire that. They hardwire us for addiction because they create the dopamine hits, okay? So I'm not saying this to scare you. I do want to give it to you on a bigger scale so that you find it easier to have all this in your mind as you go through what I'm about to suggest that you do. And you go, hey, like, I'm okay with you hating me today, cracking the shits today, going to bed hungry, whatever it is, much, right? And it doesn't mean you don't provide him something that he likes. So don't worry, I'll get to that in a second. Okay. But it's like, I would rather go through these feelings of you being hungry for a night or two, if that's what you're telling me, or if that's how you're feeling, than in 10 years' time be having to deal with some other kind of addiction, or in 3 or 4 years' time dealing with that epic screen addiction or something like that. It all is the same wiring in the brain. And MSG, this is why they fill children's food with it, because all the stuff that kids like is full of MSG. Go and look up what MSG actually does, right? Monosodium glutamate. It is horrendous on our bodies. It is horrendous. Particularly, you put on top of that all the anesthetics and antibiotics and stuff that I know Chance has had, which have probably completely fucked his gut. I know that, you've had to do or whatever you've done, but still his gut is ruined. And then that changes his body's ability to maintain himself emotionally, because 85, 87% of the emotions are made in the gut. All serotonin, nearly 90% of serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, all of that. Okay. So there's more to this than just fucking eat your lunch, eat your dinner. Do you know what I mean? Okay. I want you to have all that in your mind so that you feel quite grounded in your response to him, and you allow him to have his human experience, and he's allowed to have his emotions and do whatever he does. But that doesn't change how deeply rooted you are in your beliefs around why it's important. And if he loses his shit and won't eat, instead of that making you feel guilty, it only highlights he's already on the path to addiction.
Okay.
Does that make sense? You with me? Yeah. Can you do that? You're okay to be open to that? Yeah,
100%.
it's a real thing, particularly if he's got gut issues, because he absolutely will have, because of his antibiotics. And if he's got gut issues and he's got leaky gut, MSG leaks through his gut into his bloodstream. It just will wreak havoc on his life. Okay.
Yeah.
And then MSG suppresses his immune system, like the flow on effects, like 3 or 4 effects later about what it does to the body. And then his immune system makes him sicker. And then the more sick he gets, the more MSG he'll crave, and then the more MSG he craves, the more sicker he'll get. And you're in a cycle.
Yeah. Okay. I've got him on some really, really good probiotics at the moment, because I know those damaging, like I had no clue. Not that I could have done much different, but even apparently the tonsils being inflamed is inflammation in the gut anyway.
Correct.
So
It is 100%. Did he end up getting his tonsils out or?
tonsils, adenoids, and tubes in his ears. And he's had the tubes done again, so another anesthetic. Or they just used gas that time. Actually, he didn't need an anesthetic, but
it still puts their brain out, right? Like Miami, same thing, you know, and fucking vaccinations cause this, but Miami had not last year. So in 11 years of her life, she had 10 sets of grommets. Every year, literally the week of her birthday, every year, basically, for that many years. So definitely, at least you're aware of it, you're open to it, and now we absolutely just can't risk doing more damage. But know that with that leaky gut and with that, it's great that you're trying to heal his gut and everything like that, for sure. And you've got that awareness, and you know about, and now that he doesn't have his adenoids and his tonsils, he's lost his first line of defense for his immune system. So the tonsils are there to grab shit, to stop it getting into the body. But when the tonsils aren't there, now it goes down to the pharynx and whatever else, right? So there's lots of reasons why we need to be hard on this, yeah? Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. You need to be okay with him not eating, right? Like my team said, a child will never, ever starve themselves unless there's immense mental health issues which come from epic childhood trauma, which isn't even possible for chance, right? So that's not even a thing, okay? Even if he barely eats for a whole week, I mean, number one, he's eating during the day at childcare. Right? So he's getting calories, he's getting energy, all of those things. He's not going to die. He's not even going to get sick. Actually, it'll be the opposite. Okay. He doesn't eat, his body will go into a fasted state. And in a fasted state, our body produces stem cells. And as you know, stem cells are what's in the cord blood. So stem cells literally are the only cell in the body that can turn themselves or recreate any other cell. If they go to a weakened heart, they can become a new heart. If they go to a weakened liver, they can become liver cells. If they go to a bowel, they can become bowel cells, colon cells, right? So worst case, if he's not eating, you can go, hey, not just he's starving. Right now, he's flooded with some good stem cells, right? So you can feel good about it, okay? Now, here's the principles that I'm going to share with you. And I learned this. If you want to follow someone, I would never call Chance a fussy eater. I would call him, really, let's just say manipulative, but not in a toxic bad way, okay? But he knows where he can get his power. And also, this is where he calls you forwards into your higher levels of expansion and into the wounds that sit in you that just cannot tolerate if you aren't being good enough for someone, or if you might be making a mistake, or you just can't sit with your guilt. And so you do everything to get away from your own guilt, and he's going to pull you right into your guilt. This whole process. Okay? Yes. That's what conscious parenting is. So on his plate, every night, okay, he needs to have what's called a safe food. Yeah. So something on there that feels safe to him, that he absolutely does eat, but healthy. Could be grapes, watermelon, banana, something that he absolutely does. He doesn't want it for dinner tonight, but he eats those all the time. It's not something new, okay? Yes. There always has to be a safe food. The other things can be whatever you're serving, okay? Like this is what we're having, right? And there just is no discussion outside of this is what we've got for dinner tonight, okay? And so there is something on that plate that he actually does like, and he could choose to eat if he got past the power play and actually realized he was hungry. But remember that while he's sitting at the table, and when he doesn't get what he wants and he feels like the power's being taken from him, especially since he's been able to do this up until now, that will send his little brain into his fight or flight type response. Okay, like I'm feeling powerless and I need to protect myself. And in that state, we basically don't want to eat because our body is preparing to fight or flight. So it shuts down all of our stomach enzymes and all the digestive enzymes and all that, right? Because that's where we, can preserve our energy. Okay. So think about it. You can be literally cooking dinner and then you have an argument with your partner or someone, and now you fucking don't even want to eat dinner. You're like, I don't even want dinner. Eat yourself. You were literally cooking it, couldn't wait to sit down. The minute you get triggered, you're like, I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry. I don't want, So when he does this is okay. He doesn't have to eat it now. And I would suggest, at least for the first week, just leave his plate out until he goes to bed. Right. So if once he's regulated his nervous system and is emotionally back in his center, it's still available. Go and eat it. And don't make a thing about it. Don't keep saying, oh, do you want some? Are you hungry yet? Nothing. You just leave it there. So when he chooses, like, hey, mate, this is what's for dinner tonight. Okay, this is what we're having. I don't want it. I don't like it. You don't even engage with him to say, just say to him, Chance, this is what dinner is tonight. And if you don't want it, you don't have to eat it. And he might push it. And then if he gets up to leave, or you tell him he can, or what, you say, hey, like, that's okay. Listen, I'm going to leave it here. And anytime tonight that you want it, you can come and eat it. So just start there for a week. So he might he might come and pick at it when he thinks you're not looking as well. He doesn't quite want to give you the win, right? So he might come and pick at it with, even though obviously the food diminishes and they don't realize, no, you've eaten that, right? On there that he does like, but keep pretty healthy, okay? So that otherwise he'll just go for it all the time. So no MSG, something clean and healthy there. And do you do, some families like really do desserts and treats and stuff? Normally after dinners and stuff, is dessert or treats a thing that you guys do?
Not at all.
No. Okay, perfect. If it is, all I was going to say is don't make it special and don't make it after. Put it all on the plate together. Somebody that I would encourage you to follow, she came into our community a couple of years ago now. Her name is Talia. Her business, I'll write it down in the chat, right?
I follow her. I do follow her.
Family Snack Nutritionist.
Yeah. And she's the one that actually says that's terrible advice about thinking a child won't starve herself, but maybe she's talking about the other kids that have got some other issues, maybe, because she's the one that said, because I follow her and I try and take on just so much information. I've taken what she says. She's very, very good. Thank you though. But put it down for other people, because I agree. She's excellent.
Absolutely.
I got her from you a long time ago.
Anything like that, it is different. But honestly, you have to, you're not being mean, you're not putting you're going, bad luck, eat this. Like your child has power. You're just like Martine said to you today, and it worked for her. And now not only did it work, because there was no angst around the whole situation, he now, with autism, with sensory disorders, he has a healthy relationship with food. He eats something from every food group. There's something he eats in everything. Yeah. And that's important now, because now he's 13 and he's about to run his own life. And it's really important that if ever those habits are embedded, that they're embedded before that age. Otherwise they, get their freedom and go ruin themselves with food. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, like, of course, like when you say a child won't starve themselves or whatever, you've got to just give him a chance. That he has instincts. He really does. In all of the nutrition that I studied, through my exercise physiology degree, and Martine studies nutrition. Right now she's studying nutrition, especially at his age. He will not starve himself, particularly if there is an option on his plate, so that he does like, that he will, even two things. You can put like some banana and some grapes if he eats those, for example. And then you put the pasta, or then you put the chicken or whatever it is that you've made as the meal. And he might, I don't want that. Hey, you choose what you want. And he might leave the chicken 20 times. You keep presenting it. It seeds his mind. And what eventually makes that feel like a safe food is when his subconscious mind has seen it 20 times. Like we did this with Zach, who does have autism. Yeah. And I took a lot of advice from Talia as well. But in all of that, I also, they won't starve themselves. If there's a bit different if you're like serving up something that they don't like the look of, the smell of, and they're whatever, and there's no other option for them. Well, then, that's a whole different story. And that creates a stress in them because they literally feel like they're not being fed and not being nurtured, right? And that is an absolute need. But because you've got safe foods on his plate all the time, he gets to choose. He gets access to his power. He also gets to choose if he doesn't want to eat. And for the first week or two, I would definitely, if you're happy with it, at the end of the day, for us, it's hard for us as well because at Zach's mum's house, he gets fed fucking frankfurts and shit like that all the time, like nothing but MSG, terrible food and whatever. And so we can only do so much. So for us, we just had a discussion. I said to Dave one night, hey, babe, at the end of the day, what is actually important here? What's important is that, you parent in a way that aligns with your values and that you've offered your son a meal and he's had a chance to eat it. It doesn't matter if he doesn't eat with us at dinner time. If he wants to push it away, but we all sit at the table. Our family boundaries are we all sit at the table and you don't have to eat, but we all sit here together and we connect and we talk and we're not here just to eat. We do our little family conversations, what's the best part of the day and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's not just about food. And I just said to Dave, honestly, if he ends up eating that at 7:45, 15 minutes before he goes to bed, why is that a problem? Is that a problem? The only reason it's a problem is because you've got a programming from your childhood that says you need to eat while you're at the table. And if you don't eat your dinner, then it's going away. And that's not your value. That was someone else's value that got programmed into you, right?
Yeah.
So we just went, okay, at the end of the day, we don't really fucking care. It's one plate that we have to wash if he eats it 2 hours later. We just leave it on the table. And when it comes to bedtime, if he hasn't eaten it, then it does go in the bin and then we do it again the next day. But they will always eat, and quite often he'll eat more. He'll end up eating the whole lot or whatever. So and that's how we got him from 3 foods to 52 foods. Presenting them, we wasted food 40 times before he tried it. And then we wasted it another 10 times before he actually chewed it and swallow it, okay? But 3 years later, 52 foods is a big...
So tonight, Chance did have some grapes on his plate as a safe food, and he asked for more grapes, and I cut him more grapes because that was all he had eaten at that point. Is that cool for us to just cut him more if he wants more? Yeah.
So I think it's great for a child to ask for more of what they want. And if it's healthy, and if you can talk to him about, what it does for his body, and you don't tell him, you say, oh, I love my grapes. Oh, I can feel the nourishment. My body loves my grapes. And, all the stuff that Tally teaches. Oh, I like carrot. Oh, my carrot's crunchy. Is your carrot crunchy? All that stuff that you've probably seen Talia teach. You can just interact, and you do it through the way you interact with your food, not telling him about his food. You're like, oh, let me smell this. Oh, this broccoli looks like a tree. Oh, I wonder what part of you could even teach him something my kids loved is called the doctrine of signatures. And I did this from when they were young. And now it's amazing because now if something goes wrong with their body, they know what to go and eat, right? So Tyler Tolman and Don Tolman teach it. And basically it is the principles of every single food looks like the part of the body that Mother Nature actually designed it for. Right?
Okay.
For example, a tomato, if you cut it in half, it looks like your heart. It has the chambers, it has like the aorta, has like the septum and everything. And it literally, what tomatoes are good for is heart, okay? Like olives are for the ovaries and the testicles. A pancreas, sweet potato is for the pancreas. Literally looks like a pancreas. Celery and rhubarb is for your bones. Celery has 26% calcium, which is the exact composition of the bone. The exact amount of calcium and potassium and water in celery is precisely the same as our bones, and it's for our bones, right? So broccoli, what do you think broccoli is for? If you looked at a broccoli and it looks like a tree, think about what part in your body. Anyone can answer. Put this in the chat. What do you reckon broccoli would be for?
Is your brain? Not really.
Not brain. The walnut is for brain, for example. Yeah, lungs. So it's the alveoli of the lungs, like the little tube have like the little alveoli. Yeah. So, you know, you can, oh, I wonder what part of my body this is for. You can even draw up a chart with him or something and go, oh, you know, this is what my body needs, or I'm loving. So you can find another way to help him engage with food other than just eating it.
I hate celery too.
Yeah, I hate celery. And that's okay. You don't have to eat celery as long as you get it. But yeah, it is phenomenal. It is really awesome. Yeah. So, you know, anything green builds our blood, and greens with white veins in them, they actually clear our lymphatic system. And greens with red veins in them, they actually work directly on our blood. So
everything. How much knowledge is in your head? Oh my God.
You know, if it's to do with the body or consciousness, I absorb it all, right? I mean, I did do a bloody degree in exercise physiology, so you'd want to hope that, you know, those however many thousands of dollars gave me something to.
True.
All right. Oh yeah, beautiful, Amanda. Amazing. Yeah. So good. Yeah. So you can do other things with food, but that's all. It's all I really have for you. Other than that, you just need to be okay with it. Honestly, the problem is more that as soon as he says, I don't want it, I want nuggets, what he actually gets stuck on is feeding on the energy that he feels from you, where you're like, oh, fuck, not again. Like, God, you know, or whatever, that whole feeling. And he feels your energy boundaries become weakened. So what you need to just remember to deeply root yourself in some firmness, but without being angry or anything. No, I don't have that. No, I want nuggets. Nuggets aren't available tonight. Like, no, you don't have to be angry. You also don't have to be happy.
Yeah.
Nuggets are not available tonight. We are not having nuggets. Well, I want these. You know, Zach asked Dave for Frankfurts last night. He's like, mate, I will never give you Frankfurts. You will never get Frankfurts at my house. I will never put that food inside your body. I will never do that. And so he doesn't say anything about his mum. He just says, mate, we will never have Frankfurts at our house, okay? You can have this or this. We will never do Frankfurts. And anytime he mentions it, he'll say, mate, we will never do Frankfurts. I will never feed you that. And we don't say anything, but one day, all those seeds that have been planted in his little mind, he will start to realize, and, you know, he even is starting to realize, you know, his mum gets sick a lot. And, you know, his mum was sick again recently. He said, you know, mum's really sick or whatever. He's like, but you never get sick, Daddy. And Daddy just said, you know why, mate? Because every single thing that I choose to put inside my body actually helps to nourish my body. The people who get the most sick are the people who don't make the best food choices. And the people who make really good food choices normally are the people who get sick the least. And so just little seeds, we don't target anyone, but one day he will use all that to build his own belief system.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why would my dad never, whenever I mentioned Frankfurts, my dad was like, boom, mate, you can do whatever tantrum you like. You will not get that, right? When Chance is saying, I want nuggets, imagine he's asking for whiskey. Mate, I'm not giving you fucking whiskey. Like, you're never going to get it. So just have that, like, it's not even a thing. You wouldn't even feel bad about yourself to go, mate, there's no alcohol, okay? You're full.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
You have this whole different energy about it, right? You wouldn't be caught up in, you know, oh, you need to have something, you know.
Yeah.
That is not true, especially if he's eating good at childcare. And we know this is not a food problem. This is just a power problem. And that makes sense. He's at childcare all day and gets his power taken from him, has to do this and has to do that and all the rules and all those things. And when he comes home, it's normal for a child to be like, I want all my power back. So
it's getting hard.
They claim it, the best way they claim it is dinner time and bedtime.
Bedtime, yes.
All right. So it really is just, it's your journey. He's calling you into it. The guilt that you might feel riddled with, and you might literally be sitting there at 9:30 sobbing, do a post in this group. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've ruined my son. He finally fell asleep, but he's been crying for 2 hours because he wanted, you know, some lolly and I wouldn't have it. And I feel that's okay. Like, just let us nurture you through the process. But meet yourself in those edges. Don't avoid the part of you that hates feeling guilty or that hates feeling like you haven't made your son happy. Those are, you know, they'll become codependencies, and then they'll set up a foundation for him to have unhealthy relationships later in life.
Which was me my whole life. So I don't want to.
Right. Which is why it's so hard for you to move through this. Okay. Yeah. He is giving you the environment for it. Just be deeply rooted in your values. It matters to me how healthy your body is. I have the awareness I am the adult, and I know your body has been through a lot in its 4 young years.
Mm-hmm.
It is my responsibility at the moment to do everything in my power to support and nourish your body, and not only to support and nourish it, but to also not provide you with things that are going to undo any nourishment it has received.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes, and whiskey. I'm just going to remember whiskey.
Mate, just in your head, you're asking for whiskey. You have your emotions. There's no whiskey.
Awesome. That's excellent. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, darling. Thank you. All right. Yes, Amanda Mitchell, after daycare, after school, when your kids come home, they want all their power back. Yeah, Di, I just saw what you said. So, you just don't make, so you said, can you go a little deeper as to why you put the treat on the same plate? I mean, there are exceptions to this with a kid that is fully addicted to it, but what you're doing is you don't make treats special. It's all just food. There is no treat. There's no such thing as like a special treat. There's just food. There's ice cream, there's nuggets, there's cakes, there's carrots, there's lettuce, there's pasta, there's bread, there's rice. It's all just food. Yeah. And you don't make any food really bad. You don't say that's so bad for you. You definitely can, in regards to sugar, like it's not good for you. But the thing is, if you give your children messages that this food is bad, and then you still give it to them, even just sometimes, they get conflicted messages in that. Yeah. So it's all just food. Okay. And there are some foods that we need to be very mindful about how little or how much we take them so that we can support our bodies. And so it's very much about like putting the treat on the same thing isn't about, oh, you only get that if you eat all your dinner and that's the reward. It's removed, because that also feeds like the addiction behind needing to get that and wanting to get that. And then later on, if we've used any kind of food as a reward, guess when we become adults, what do we reward ourselves with? All the wrong fucking shit. Yeah.
I just feel like it's gone too far already, though. With
Yeah.
like I'm in that other boat of I
You
have
are. You 100% are. I would say that to you. You just need to completely do what you've been doing, remove it all. Your situation is the extreme at the other end of that. Yeah, but that's the principle behind it. But absolutely, with what you're
That's what I
doing,
wanted to double check. Thank you.
100%. Yeah, stay with what you're doing exactly. Yeah, until his gut is fully healed, and all of those that addictions to sugar and stuff like that have tempered themselves at least a little bit. So absolutely, for you, it's like an all or nothing type thing, 100%. Yeah. But for those of you who are wondering the same thing, that's the theory behind it. And we do that. We, did that a lot with Zach when we were bringing in new foods to him. And we didn't make anything special. So what we'd do, like, let's say, like, we used to get those little mini muffins, for example. And I'd even make like little banana ones or whatever. But what we'd do is to put it on his plate. Like if he did eat his whole meal, we'd probably, maybe let him have a whole mini muffin or something like that or whatever. But what we do is we just don't want to make it, oh, you don't get that unless, because then it just feeds their need to want it. And so what we'd do is we just cut it in quarters and we'd put a quarter of it on the plate. So it's all there. There's nothing special. There's nothing you get later if you eat it. There's just food. This is what's presented, and that's all you've got. Yeah? All right. Let's go. Next person. Oh, shit, I've lost my post. Hang on. 1 second. I'm just finding it again. All right. So, El Patrolo, are you here now? I feel like yours is going. Oh, yep, you are. Good. Excellent. Yours, I feel like I can say to you fairly quickly, actually. I want you to try this with Eden before you look at any behavioral things with regards to him, not pooing on the toilet. And you mentioned about how he poos quite comfortably, like he prefers to do it standing up, and that's the links that you've made, right? There is a nerve. Do you see a chiropractor? Does Eden see a chiropractor?
He not recently. He saw an osteo when he was younger.
Okay. I would encourage you to, maybe even if it's once a month or once every 2 months or whatever, just, get him some adjustments, because there's a nerve in the lower back that when we are in hip flexion, right, when our hips are bent, literally blocks off the bowel. This is, I've had quite a few families in this program just understanding this. And Zach, again, like, he's had bowel problems all his life and everything. And the chiro helps immensely just by, really releasing the interference around the area. So, and the other thing is, we were never, it's only in the Western world that we have these kind of bad toilets, right? Where we sit down and we literally block off all the nerves, because really how we're supposed to poo is like, how they sit if you go to somewhere like Bali or Thailand, and they literally just sit crouched all day. I don't know how they even bloody do it. They're literally just sitting down like a little 2-year-old, like crouches down on the floor with flat feet and their knees are up beside their head. That is actually how our body is designed to open our bowels the most effectively, and it puts pressure obviously on the colon, and then poo comes out easily. So for 10 years, still to this day, my kids use, even though they're bigger now, we've got like a like little step that goes around the toilet, like it's made for your feet to go on. So even us as adults, your knees are supposed to be well above your hips, right? In order to truly like open our bowels properly, and allow it to clear. So given that he's using a big toilet without a little step, so his nerves will be more trapped because his legs are dangling, right? He can't even touch the ground. So at the least, I would really encourage you to try and use like a kid's like seat on top of it, where
I think we tried that as well. But even then, I think he's still quite like 90 degree. Like, I don't think it's not like it bends higher than.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So maybe, I will remember that myself. I was just going to say, you have to make sure the top step is high enough to do that. You can build some little steps that you put in there or something, or somehow attach another step. If Larry's good at building something or whatever, there needs to be, quite often, you're right, a step higher than that for their feet to sit on. They really, really need their, and the fact that even when he's got his nappy on, the fact that how like sometimes, I know you've been in childcare, right, or babysitting and whatever, and you'll see a little kid doing a poo in their nappy at 1 year, and they're over in the corner crouching down, like they're literally sitting down doing it, right? It's just a natural instinct. And so if he doesn't even do that when he's got a nappy on, I really believe it's hard for him to poo, and maybe it even hurts for him to try and poo, right? And so I really think you need to get into a chiro. I would be so interested. We've had Zach in situations, as you know, he saw a bowel specialist for like 2 years straight, right? He's got really bad bowel issues, and he's basically had them since he had his heart surgery at like 11 months old. But sometimes he would not poo a single thing for 10 days, and like he'd get like a distended stomach and everything, and we would take him to the chiro. His mum doesn't believe in them, which is crazy because he even tells her what happens, but he'll go to the chiro, and within half an hour to 2 hours he will do a poo. And then it was really sad because by then, it's bloody too hard and too big to come out, and then there were other problems, and then in the end he started getting fear of doing a poo because it hurt because of that experience. So there was a whole lot of things for him. But in terms of nerve release and nerve entrapment, I think that's what's going on for Eden. I would at least my advice would be at least eliminate that before you do anything behaviorally with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think everything else you're doing is great. I think like everything I read and everything I know about you as a parent, and how conscious you are and things like that, I think everything else is great. The way that you're making sure you don't build a fear with him around it. But if he's pooing standing up in hip extension, and as soon as he goes into hip flexion he doesn't like to poo or can't poo, I think there's a link there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Holly.
Awesome, Doug. Oh yeah, Shara just put something in there for you. Oh, thank you, Serena. The squatters, yes, exactly, Shara. All right. Shana, my darling, let me find you up here. I think I saw you come in. Oh,
Yep,
yes.
I'm here.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. Love these conversations. I just wanted to, I think you are all over it in terms of, and did you, I know it was a bit lengthy. I can't even remember how long that video was. It was like 5 years ago or something. Did you get a
It was
chance to
40
watch
minutes
it?
or something. Yeah, watched it all. Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
sent
did?
you a
Okay.
comment back. Yeah,
Oh, awesome. Okay, that's great.
yes.
So I have so many conversations like this around sexuality and our bodies, and the answer to your question was because you basically, correct me if I'm wrong, but your question is, I think you're all over it, but you just said wondering whether I need to talk to her at all about her body and changes and sex and all those things, or whether you trust that she will raise things with you. My answer to that is always it's on us to raise it. It's on us to, and
Yeah.
the way to raise it is to not like raise a conversation that feels awkward. The best way to do this, and tell your husband, tell anyone else, maybe your mum, anyone in the family, hey, I'm working on something at the moment, and I realize it's not language we commonly use. I'm going to start talking about my body and how I feel, and I'd love for us to just be over in the kitchen and she's over there in the lounge room and we're just having our own conversation. So her brain like just gets used to some language around this, and you might come and go, oh gosh, my period, hasn't come yet, or this or that. Just make these words normal words. Talk about your period, your vagina, your sex, anything you do, like you talk about your elbow, like you talk about your hand, just like a part of your body.
And I've definitely done that with bleeding, and like that's
Beautiful.
all really, really normal for her.
Okay.
It's not in my nature to talk about sex
Okay.
in front of her and stuff like that. So it's that thing of, yes, how do I normalize that?
Amazing. So to do that, you can do quite a few things. So let me start here. Do you know if there's any sex ed coming up at school anytime soon?
I know she did some at primary, like in year 6, and there might be, I would imagine there will be at some stage. I mean, and she's at Celebration Day for Girls. She did with a close girlfriend of mine that she has known, who ran it,
Yep.
who she's known forever.
Beautiful.
And Artemis is really good at just talking to the girls about, their bodies and feelings in their bodies and all those sorts of stuff. And that's really awesome. And I don't want to outsource it. Like, it's great that she's got that information, but it's actually super important that she's
That's true.
hearing it from
And you know what? It
her
adds
mum.
shame. It adds shame to the container when our kids hear this stuff everywhere but at home.
Yes.
Like there's a subconscious message around like, if this is so normal and this is how babies are made, and like, why have I never heard this? Why is this such a secret hidden thing, right?
Yeah.
And, I think I said in that video, I really can't remember, it's a little while ago, I can't remember the details that I shared in it, but it was fucking awkward with it as well. Like my nervous system I didn't let that show on the outside, but my gosh, like I was raised, I had a very poor relationship with my body and my sexuality, to the point where after 10 years of being married to my husband, if I actually enjoyed sex and if I even like let myself go a little bit and made some noise or something, I would come out of that, I would feel like a slut for 3 days. I literally couldn't talk to him, could barely look at him. I would be in a shame storm. I would like go to bed that night instead of just in my knickers and a singlet or something, or naked. I would literally go with my pajamas. I'd put layers in between.
Yeah.
It was so
It's
toxic.
just crazy, Holly, isn't it? That indoctrination is so full on that. And I think it's really true what you said, what you don't say is just as powerful, if not more powerful, than what you do.
Yeah.
And so I think, and I mean, this is what it's like with me asking you this question, isn't it? Like, I can have conversations with India easily about sex and what it is to, how you make a baby and all those sorts of things. And I guess it's that next step of embracing her body and it being totally okay for her to have a crush on a boy or a girl for that matter, or any of those other sensations that come up, and that you know, she can talk about
I'll
that
give
stuff
you some
too.
examples if that's where you're at right now. And look, if you're going to be in
Yeah.
this program forever, then instead of me giving you the whole big picture, let's
That's
just
right.
see where you're at, and then in a few months come back for more, right?
Yep,
So if
yep.
at the levels of crushes, I'll give you an example. Just do a setup, right? And then like be scrolling through Facebook and be like, oh my God, that's the guy that I had like a massive crush on when I was like, oh, I think I must have been in year set. Oh my God, look at this guy. Oh my God, India, look at this guy. It could be fucking show a photo of Dave if you want it, whatever. Just be like, I had the biggest crush on this guy ever. Like, if she's like, just in case she says, let me see, and you're like, oh shit, there's no photo on my screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything like this, you know, or you can be driving along in the car and a song comes on and you're like, oh, this song, this is such an old song. Oh my gosh, the first guy that ever had a crush on me, he gave me this song. So like something like, just find a way
Yep.
to talk about how you've had crushes and how people had crushes on you. And oh, I remember, you know, this guy had a crush on me, and like, oh my God, I feel so bad for how I handled it now. He was such a nice guy, but I felt so embarrassed about the fact that somebody had a crush on me that I ended up being quite mean, and I kind of whatever, like make up whatever story.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is the time. It's excellent to tell lies, okay? It's
Yes.
excellent for the sake of connection, for the sake of creating an environment for our children
Yeah.
to you break these cycles in. Literally, she just needs to hear, because if she hears, oh, you've had a crush, okay. So if you've had crushes and you're now talking about all these crushes,
Yes.
like then clearly there's nothing wrong with having a crush, you know, and then you'd be like, oh, I can't wait till you have your first crush. I wonder who your first crush is going to be. Anyway,
Yes.
my
Yes.
first crush. So just drop the seed and then come away from the conversation. Plant
Yeah.
a seed, you know, oh,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, who do you have a crush on anyone at the moment? And she might be like, no, oh, okay. And then forget it, just give it nothing.
Yeah.
Don't engage. Don't be like, oh, sorry, I asked. Nothing. Just go, oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
geez, by the time I was your age, I had crushes on like 10 guys, I reckon. You know, I don't know about what you guys do these days, but what's the go these days? Are you guys allowed to have crushes on 5 people at once? Or is these days you can't have a crush on more than one person? Just like be like that, you can talk about Oscar and Amani, and do you know how long Oscar and Amani have been together? She might say, I don't know. I should ask her. I'd be interested to know whether he's a new boyfriend or been a boyfriend for a long time. And I wonder if he was Amani's first boyfriend. Maybe it's her second. Just be comfortable just talking about it, about anyone and everyone, particularly people that she loves and is connected to, and encourage her to ask a question. Amani is my kids. I'm very proud that I've broken the cycles, but they're so overly comfortable. It's just not even a thing. Like where it's almost like, especially when we're around my mum, like my Amani and Oscar went up to Cairns at the end of last year. It was like their birthday present. Me and his mum surprised them with the flights to go up and stay with my mum in Cairns, and they went bungee jumping and whatever else. And I said to her, hey, our deal in our family that everyone does things differently, and Nonna does things differently. I mean, I don't know what she'll do for you, but when I was a kid, she wouldn't even let me have a boy in my bedroom. I was never allowed to close my door. Like the door had to be opened permanently if a boy came into my bedroom. And I had a lot of boy friends. I was like, I was safer with boys. A lot of my pain came through girls. And so I had lots of boyfriends. They weren't even my boyfriends. They're just friends that are boys. And, anyway. And so Amani raised the conversation with Mama, Nonna, like, are you going to let me and Oscar sleep in the same room? And it's okay if that you're not comfortable with that, but I just thought I'd ask so that it's not awkward for Oscar when we get up there and you're like, oh no, you guys can't sleep in the same room. Like we've been together 2 years and, we're in year 12 and all those things. My mum said something to her as a bit of a joke, because when my mum gets awkward, she uses humor. And so she said something about, whatever. And Amani said, Nonna, if you say, she's like, Nonna, be careful what you say, because I'm happy to tell you. So be careful what questions you ask, because I don't have a problem with telling you the answers, and I'm never going to tell you a lie. And Nonna goes, okay, I don't want to hear it. Let me think about it for a week, And in the end, she let them sleep in the same room and whatever.
Yeah.
But there's just those moments where Marnie's like, Nonna, if you're going to, like, I'll tell you, if you're going to ask a question,
bless her.
Like whatever. So anyway.
And that's a good point, because, and I'll encourage India, because I actually said something to India about, or maybe she asked me something about Oscar, you know, like, and I said, I don't know, did you ask Amani? And she said, and I could sort of feel it's maybe one of the things that prompted me thinking she doesn't feel she can ask that question, and maybe it's her own comfort, but it's also
Great
her
awareness.
respecting Marnie's privacy and all of that stuff.
We
But yeah,
don't even do privacy. I mean, it's so weird. Like my mum can't understand how she just is so offended, you know, that nothing's private to us. But my girl,
Yeah.
like it's not, if they wanted something to be private, we would
Yeah.
definitely, we would all hold that
Yeah, yeah.
sacredly. But you know, I'm really focused on breaking these cycles because of the shame that I sat with
Yeah.
my whole life. And you know,
wholeness, isn't it? Really,
yeah, it
it's
is.
wholeness to say whether I feel emotional, whether I feel aroused, whether I feel whatever I feel, that is the
100%.
wholeness of me, and I'm not hiding what that is.
100%. And you can even
Yeah.
do things like, I'm just trying to think of some things me and Dave do. Like if Dave comes up and like just hugs me, if I'm in the kitchen and like, you know, he just runs his hand down my back or tickles my back for a little bit, you know, I'll be like, oh, that feels so nice. And other times I'll be like, oh my God, that is good. Can you do it again? And they're like, Mom, but just for fun, you know, and it's just like, yeah. And then anyway, it really does. And
Yes.
Amani has nothing off limits. So maybe even mention it to Amani, or, you know, I'd love India to, maybe it is more comfortable for India to talk to a third party to the point where she gets so comfortable with that language and those thoughts and this like whole idea of having a crush or, you know, feeling turned on at whatever age that starts to happen, all those things, you know, before she's comfortable doing it with you, if that makes sense.
And I don't, as I said in that post, and I won't take up more of your time, but as I said in that post, it's not even that there's an issue. And I actually suspect that she would start talking to, you know, she would talk to me about it and all of those sorts of things. I guess it's me being mindful of making sure. I sort of thought, oh, you know what, I haven't really had, you know, we've had incidental conversations and we've had all sorts of stuff, but I hadn't really brought my consciousness to what kind of conversations do I want to set up such that it's really keeps moving in that very natural way of engaging. So that's really good. That's actually great.
You can even get your husband, like you can get in, like, let's say next time you go to the supermarket, he can be like, oh babe, you go to the supermarket, and you're like, yeah, I'll be back soon. Oh, can you get some more condoms and some and you go, yeah, oh shit, that reminds me, I need tampons too. Even if you don't use condoms, like just to get the language out there. And then she might be like, oh, and you're like, and then just be like, you know, me and Dad have sex, right? It's a beautiful thing. It's sex. Mum, I don't want to hear. Okay, no worries. All right, I'm going to the supermarket, and just plant a seed and move away, right? So anything like that will definitely, the best way to do it is to not do the confronting, awkward conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. But let's have a serious talk about these.
Yeah, definitely. And
no, that's really great.
Then, you know, maybe give Amani permission, like, hey, like, don't go, you know, you'd have to go in for that conversation. But if ever there's an opening for it, I would love India to gently open herself to that. And and that might be something that, you can do. I love you.
That's great.
Everything you're looking for, and it's so good you're doing it now. So by the time she really needs to have some sex talks, and she needs to come to you and, you know, say, can you buy me some condoms, or can you know, whatever it might be, or you know,
anything,
any conversation, by that time, this whole concept is like such a normal thing that it's even awkward to raise that conversation with you.
Absolutely. No, that's great. Thanks so much, Holly, as always.
No worries, darling. Because you walked in on your mum and dad going out at Shara. Hey, listen, what I say to people around that, you know, oh, the kids heard us having sex. I'm like, listen, I would rather your kids hear you having sex than hear you fighting all the time. So it's totally fine if that's what they hear. Yeah? And if they ask questions, just don't deny it. All right, who have we got? Deb, are you here? Let me see if Deb is here.
Hello.
Oh, yes, you are. Hello. Wait a second, Deb. I'm trying to find you at the top of my screen, and my screen is set up a bit different. Hang on. I need to double click. Oh, let me just go here and I'll pin you. Oh, hello. How are you? Oh, now you can unmute. Oh, yeah, good. Good. All right. I love your openness around, that you can see that the way you've praised your kids and all those things has caused some low self-esteem. So beautiful, beautiful acknowledgement from you. I know your question is about love languages. Do you want to just explain a little bit to me so that I can help you? Tell me what I did read about the tickle wars and all that kind of thing. Tell me what's been happening that you've noticed, and then I will help you from there.
Yeah, so I've been trying to think about his love language. So my son, so he's 6 years old and like very hyper aware of emotions and language and just very high EQ, which
Yeah.
sometimes we've noticed since having a second child has kind of been, I don't know, it feels like, I don't know if it can be an overdrive, but it sort of feels like it's super heightened and he's just craving our attention. But then I give him time with me just one-on-one, and that doesn't ever seem to be enough. And I'm just fucking exhausted. And so then I try something else. I'm like, okay, maybe that's not his thing. Maybe he wants praise. Maybe he wants, the rough play. Maybe he wants just to me to do things for him. Like put aside. So I asked him the question because I didn't realize because he's only 6.
Yep.
So how do you know I love you? And so I gave him some examples, and he just said exactly what I said. Well, his first answer was because you put me to bed every night.
Okay.
So when my baby was born, we decided my husband will do that bedtime. I'll focus on him just to give him time with me back because I think that's what he was craving. And so it worked for a while, but I just feel like bedtime's become a little bit nuts. And he's just, what you said earlier tonight about when they're at school or childcare, they've got no power.
Mm-hmm.
And he's such an obedient, like,
Okay.
very obedient, will never break the rules, will never act out at school. His teachers always tell me. Then he gets home, different story.
Yep, that was like my middle child. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We would go to
So
school report interviews or whatever, teacher interviews, and we legit were like, who is this child that they asked about? Like, how do we get her to be like that for even a minute at home? Yeah.
Yeah, and it is like that at home most of the time, actually. It's just certain points, there's like these power struggles. Like, before bed, he wanted to have a piece of bread with peanut butter on it, and then the bread broke in half. So he demanded a new piece. We're like, no, you're not going to waste food. That's not.
Yep.
And he just like freaked out, started crying, so super
Can I ask you
emotional.
something around bedtime? When he goes to bed, is the baby normally awake?
Not always. Not
Okay.
always. So I've tried to sort of make him stay up a bit later so he knows he's got like a special bedtime.
Yeah,
He doesn't have to go to bed with his brother.
Yeah. Do you notice a difference if the baby is awake or not awake and in terms of how he'll go down to bed?
I don't know. I probably haven't paid enough attention.
Just like put that little filter on and just give me feedback, let me know. Here's what I'll say. Something that will feel him more than anything is you proving to him that he can come first, right? Ahead of the baby. Because the downside of babies is that they need us when they need us, especially when they're first born, right?
Mm.
And because you didn't have your babies, a year apart or 2 years apart, he was at an age where he had a level of understanding. He was obviously 5 or something, 4.5 or something, right? Right, yeah. So it's a little bit harder because they have so much more awareness, right? And they feel so much more rejected because they've also had 5 whole years with us, right? Without anyone else to compete to. So what changes this child so much? It literally fills their love bucket. It's not even like a love language. By the way, from what you've said, I reckon his acts of service, just those little bits you've said and what you'd said in your post. Don't take my word as gospel on that. Like we need to test and try that. Yeah. And when you're looking out for love languages, pay really close attention. When he's in trouble, the way that he gets in trouble, the way that you punish him or give him consequences or whatever it might be, what breaks his heart the most is it when you grab him and shove him and he's just devastated by that would be touch, right? Is it when you just say something mean, get out of here, just go, like it breaks his heart, is it, right, that's it, you're not having that, I'm taking that away. like gifts or, you know, like, no, I'm not doing that for you. Do it yourself. No, I'm not, like, that will be acts of service. So just see what breaks his
Yeah.
heart most when he's can't have or he's in trouble. And the
Okay.
big one, a really huge clue with kids, you know, particularly, I mean, all ages, but particularly under 8, when you can't really ask them the questions, like I was saying to you, then it's not quite the same, is their I'm sorry language. What does he do? Not just with you guys. What does he do even with his, is it a boy, the baby, his brother or sister?
Yeah.
What does he do with his brother? So anytime, you know, he you know, wants to make up to someone, or maybe he has been in trouble and then he tries to make it up to you, what does he do? Does he make you a drawing? Does he come up to you later and try to sit on your lap and give you a cuddle? Does he write you a letter? Does he say something? You know, does he go to his brother and try to give him something? Here, you can have this, and he like hands over his most prized possession, toy or something like that? You know, that's something that really means a lot to him. You know, does he try to do something for you? You know, unpack the dishwasher or clean something up or whatever. So pay attention to what he does, because we all use, when we all crave connection, right? We're pack animals. We have to be connected to a herd. And so when we have felt disconnected from our herd and we're looking for that social connection, we need that social connection. It's a matter of survival. At some point, we will literally be looking for ways to make inroads back to, you know, our herd, basically. So we will always use our own language. Our best known way to connect, we'll use that on other people. So whenever he's I'm sorry or making up for something, you know, or whatever, pay real close attention to that. That will be a huge clue in love languages. Okay. And then test and try it. Now the other thing I was going to say is, what was I going to say before I went into that part of love languages?
Bedtime.
Yeah,
making him
bedtime.
come first.
That's right. Okay, yeah, coming first. Okay, so it will mean the most to him if he literally can even hear you say, let's say the baby's crying or something like that, and you're like, and he's there with you, and he might say, you know, what's your baby's name?
Zia.
Zia, okay. He might say, oh, Zia's crying, right? And you can be like, oh, well, Zia will have to wait. I'm with you right now. Or Zia might come in and you're like, Zia, I'm sorry. Mummy can't help you right now. I'm playing with your brother, you know? What's his name?
Yeah.
Eldest?
Aiden.
Okay. So anytime he'll be like, oh, you just made him, it's boys, 2 boys?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, you just made him wait for me. You just said bad luck to him. I'm coming first. You know, or Zia wants this. And even if you say, Zia, you have to wait. It is not your turn. I'm sorry. But no, you know, Aiden is getting this first and you will have to wait your turn. Like, even though, like, you were going to make him wait anyway, right? Like, it's just verbalizing that, not in a bad way, not in a way you're telling Zia off. You're like, Zia, I'm sorry, you'll have to wait. I'm helping Aiden right now. And even if he's screaming, like if he screams for another 15, 20 seconds, it really doesn't matter. It's going to be okay, right? You're okay with that. But that 15 seconds is everything to Aiden. It's everything, right? Rather than, you know, like, oh, quick, I need to go help Zia. Here, quick, hold this. I need to go help. You know, he's just fallen over or whatever. You know, oh, well, Zia, up you get. You okay? Are you okay? And he might be crying, but you know he's okay. And you're going to go there. But if you were already doing something with Aiden, just even if it's 5 seconds, you know, something like that, it will mean the world to him if you verbally, whether it's in Zia's earshot or not, you know, like so that Aiden can hear you say, oh, well, he'll have to, oh, well, right now, my time is with you, and he'll have to handle his emotions because I'm with you right now. So,
I think he's really missing that attention, because even just a few nights in a row, he's been sort of almost like reminiscing. Like I was talking about how when he was little, I was trying to tell a happy story because he was acting up. And I felt myself getting really angry. And so I thought, okay, calm down, take a breath. And I just told him a story. I said, do you remember when we were little, you used to come home every night. We used to know what we did at bedtime. We had such a nice chat. You used to tell me what you did at school. We had a little laugh. I read your book. And he started getting really teary. I said, what's wrong? He goes, I've got happy tears because I remember I used to be really nice to you at bedtime and I've been really not nice to you. And I said, no, it's not that you're not nice. You just got big emotions. You're tired. I'm tired, you know. So we got through it. And the other night he was talking about, you know, when I used to do tickles when I was, so he's having these moments of sort of almost reminiscing of when he was little and when it was just him. And we spoke to him differently. Maybe we gave him different kinds of attention or played different games with him. So he's starting to use that language to sort of explain what he's missing.
The good thing about that is instead of shutting down, and if he's like
Yeah.
quite a sensitive, like emotionally sensitive child as
Yeah.
well, is that he's connecting to love. Like even if in his experience, in his mind, it's in my past, I'm not loved like I used to be. Like that's not the truth. But in his little world, if there's a moment where he's feeling like that, at least he's looking for like where love was. Now when like he can find the feeling of it. So if he loves hearing these stories, right? So you can say to him, do a little thing with him. It's beautiful, and especially with an energy sensitive child. Where you'd be like, do you want to hear another story? You know, how about can I tell you another story about like, you know, before Zia was here and it was just us, about me, you and daddy, or whatever it might be, right? Or it could even be, you know, I remember, you know, not long after Zia came home and there was this beautiful night where daddy took Zia and dealt with him and me and you just had this special time. So even if you have to almost make it up because you can't quite remember it, just talk about how even though Zia was here, we still had our love. And so what you can do is you can go, do you remember that? And either he does or he doesn't. Go, you know what? Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Let's both close our eyes and let's hold hands while we do this. And let's see if we can remember. So I'll tell the story. And as I tell the story, see if you can see it in your mind. So you can see the couch and I was on the couch and you came and sat on my lap and tell the whole story, right? And then can you feel that moment? See, I reckon it sounds to me, I reckon he's going to be able to do this. Let's see if he can. And if he can, I can give you lots more help down this path because this is is, right? We can use this kind of communication with him in many ways, right? So you want to ultimately get him to a feeling of remembering that we were happy, that we were loved, that I was loved, you were loved, like we respected each other, you know, you listened really well. Like if I asked you to do something, like you were so helpful in doing it. And at the same time, you know, I was actually better because I make some mistakes these days too. And I get I raise my voice and I shout or whatever. So you go to that place and go, can you feel that in your heart? Okay, let's do this. How about we work together and me and you, we've got to find ways that we can feel this again, that my heart and your heart can have the same feeling that I had back then, but we can have it now. What are some things we could do in our days or in our weeks that even if it didn't go for a long time, because you know, this story I'm telling you, it was a beautiful story, but you know how long we read that book for? Only for 2 minutes. It wasn't a long time. It was just a beautiful moment. And see how our hearts remember moments. They don't remember it, how long it was. Our hearts just remember moments where we were connected and loved. So just so that he doesn't feel like he needs all your time and all your attention, right? Or you don't set him up to, you know, then build a sibling rivalry because Zia is a threat to him getting access to that, right? So and just go, what are some things? And then you can ask him, like, even if he's being a bit dysregulated or you can see it coming, let's say it's at bedtime and he starts being awful, you go, hey, Aiden, stop. How about me and you, we both stop here and we remember what we said last night. Let's find a way right now at bedtime for our hearts to feel like they used to feel when we would do bedtime or when I talk. Let's do that right now. Let's go and have, you know what? I tell you what, I want to have 5 or 3 whole minutes with no distractions, just me and you feeling that in our hearts. So should we cuddle? Would you like me to give you a tickle, you know, or rub your back? Would you like to read a book? What does your heart feel like it needs right now? And do you know what? And then what you do is you set a timer. So I tell you what, we're going to have our whole 3 minutes and no one is going to interrupt us. And then you'd be like, you know, even say to your husband, can you make sure Zia doesn't wake up or come in because I'm having these next 3 minutes with Aiden, right? Or if Zia's in bed, anything like that, I'm just letting you know that nothing is stopping these next 3 minutes with Aiden, right? You can even let him do the alarm, right? So like he can put in your phone 3 minutes or whatever, right? Cool, now let's do this. And then you go, and then when the alarm goes off, it's not you stopped the good time, it's the alarm stopped the good time. Right? The alarm said we're finished. It wasn't you that had to pull out of a moment. And then you'd be on his side. So when the alarm goes off, you might be like, oh, what? Is that already? It's already. Wait, I want 30 more seconds. I'm just going to wait 30 more seconds. Cool. Let's, you know, and then the alarm goes off again. Or you can, and you don't always do that because then you'll always expect that.
Yeah.
But you at least be, your first reaction is what you know his reaction will be. Oh, what? That was so fun. All right, big cuddles. That was fun. Let's keep our hearts in this feeling. Okay, let's remember this connection. Let's hold this between us. And you know what? Tomorrow night, if we can come to bed 1 minute earlier, we'll do 4 minutes. Yeah, let's come to bed earlier so we can have an extra minute. So whatever you need to do to play around with that, but always talk about, I really feel like, given how energy sensitive he is, if you in any moment, hey, how can we do this with that feeling in our hearts? Even if he's getting angry, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I was just about to yell, and give him permission. I want to know how he responds to this. So, like, tell me in the group during the week or let me know next week. I want to know how he responds to being your coach. Okay. Energy sensitive kids that also are quite demanding. So really demanding kids that, like, just no matter what, there's just another demand and nothing's ever enough. They are quite often got some really deep leadership qualities. And then when you've got energy sensitive on top of that, we can easily miss the leadership qualities. I don't know exactly about Aiden, but normally an energy sensitive child will be more, is he more like sit in the background, be a bit withdrawn? You know, you wouldn't see him as a leader typically, but he's
Depends
just
who he's around. So
right.
with kids younger than him, totally the leader naturally.
Okay.
Kids
Okay.
that are older shies away in the shadows, like very quiet, very shy.
Makes so much sense to me. So it's easy to miss their leadership qualities just because they're so energy sensitive that they do withdraw sometimes while they're learning their own energy boundaries. And it's not that they're actually shy. There is just a lot going on and they can feel it all energetically. And at that young age, they don't know what energy is actually my feeling and what energy is yours that I can just feel. Right? And so it gets very overwhelming for them, particularly if kids age are asking for him to interact with him at that level. That's a lot. Okay. So I want you to do this. You tell him up front, you know, hey, have I told you yet? Like, have this conversation with him that you don't have with Zia, you know, and you could even say, even though Zia's 15 months old, just say, now, I want to tell you something. I haven't told Zia this yet. He might, if he catches on to it, he's like, why would you tell a baby that? Then fine. Go, oh, I'm just saying, I just want to tell you, right? And you don't have to make it like this is our little secret. Don't build a culture around secrets. But I just want to tell you something, right? Do you know what? It's so important to my heart that I'm the best mum in the world. It's so important to me that, did I tell you that I actually got a parenting coach? So I actually pay money so that I can have someone to teach me how to be a better mum. Did I ever tell you that? So open a conversation. Oh, her name's Holly, or whatever you want to say. And I watched a video today that helped me so much. And you know what? I want to say I'm so sorry, because in this video, I learned something about how I could say things to you more nicely. And it made me realize that I don't say that to you. And now I'm going to so just let him be in on your journey, right? And so that you can use it throughout all of this time, we'll be able to, in different moments, reflect back to and use that, right? Now, what I want you to do then is say, so, you know what my coach suggested to me? My coach said to me that she actually, just from all the amazing things I told her about you, she actually straight away said to me that she thinks you're someone that's a leader. And you know what? As soon as she said that, I knew that's true. So I want to ask you a favor, because leaders are really good at being a coach. And I want to know if you and me can be each other's coaches, because I want to do better. And I want someone to coach me. And I think you would be the best person to be my coach. And it doesn't mean you're my boss and I'm not your boss. We're not bosses to each other. We're leaders. Okay. So if ever I raise my voice, if I say words that hurt your feelings, if I start doing this, you know, you have permission and you will not be in trouble to say, Mum, you're raising your voice. Mum, I think you need to talk to your coach. Like, give him permission to have some sentences that he can say, well, you need to talk to your coach because you shouldn't talk like that. You know, whatever. Like, cop it. Just take it on the chin and go, you know what? Thank you. I would appreciate if you said that to me in a nicer tone so it didn't feel like you were being my boss. But thank you for having the courage to tell me that, because you're right and I'm sorry. Let him be your coach and you be his coach, right? So here's all the things I want to improve at. What are some things you might want to improve at? So how about I be your coach? When you get grumpy or you don't want to go to bed, I can say, hey, Aiden, can I be your coach for a minute? Hey, this is one of those moments we have to accept, and we can either do this, feeling disconnected, or we can do this with our hearts connected. Let's do our connection, right? So you can give him just this little gentle coaching and let him do it to you. Let him give you feedback, give him permission, and don't break his trust on that. If ever he says something and calls you out and actually triggers you, because it does sometimes, like so many of us that have been here for a long time, the parents here, they're like, fuck, it's a whole different story when your children start using all the conscious words on you. And they're like, Mum, can you just check yourself, please? Because you're raising your voice. Mum, next time, say that to me in a nicer voice, please. Like the kids will start using this and you'll hear them doing it with their friends and with their siblings and everything. It's phenomenal, but it's confronting because they will call you out, okay? And in that moment, don't take it out on him. Just come to the group and do a post and be like, shit, conscious parenting sucks, okay? I don't like it. I have to own my shit right now, right? So, but get him to be your coach so that when it comes to bedtime, I think he's going to respond so differently to not having to be told by you that you aren't the authority. Hey, I'm your coach and you're my coach. Now, Aiden, please give me coaching here if I don't do this well enough, okay? I've got something I need to say, and if I don't do it well enough, please give me the coaching, okay? Aiden, I need you to go to bed. It is bedtime. I absolutely want to have some connection and some love, okay? Given that we are late tonight, we do not have 3 minutes, okay? But no matter what, I am still going to prioritize giving you the love that I need, that we both need. So tonight we can do 2 minutes. And I tell you what, tomorrow night, let's learn a lesson from this and let's go to bed 10 minutes. If you feel like your heart needs a lot of love right now, how about we go to bed 10 minutes earlier tomorrow and we have the whole 10 minutes, but we only get 10 if we're in bed earlier, 10 minutes early. That's the deal, because bedtime is this time. So you can be like, hey, give me code. Now, have I said that? Okay, whatever. So let him just pick you up on some things instead of like you just going, Aiden, get to bed. Okay, it's bedtime. I'm sick of it. I'm tired. You're tired. Get to bed. Do it in like a coaching way. And let me know how he responds. That'll give me a lot of information on him. This might not be the perfect answer, but it's going to give me a million clues on him. I'll feel like I know your child.
Cool. Thanks, Holly.
Okay.
Awesome.
Does that
Thank you.
help you for now? Like you feel ready to move forwards with that, to start there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
I'll start with that and I'll let you know how he goes.
Definitely. Yep, absolutely. Let me know. All right, darling.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank
And work
you.
on all those effective praise words. If you feel like you guys haven't done that and you've done the opposite and probably been emptying his self-esteem or not building it, that will make the biggest difference. So just focus on nothing but that. Even if you have to, stop watching videos for a week and focus on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
A really good way to do that. I will just say this to all of you because a lot of you here in the group are new. With regards to the effective praise, it's very helpful if you come up with 5 to 10 sentences based on the scenarios that regularly happen in your house and for you, and write them all out and make a post about it. And then down in the comments, like, let's say if Deb makes a post, then you do the same down in the comments. And we can have a whole thread of, people that are coming up with sentences. And then those who have been here for a long time might give you some feedback. Oh, yep, that's really good, but maybe just change that one word or whatever. Because, I've, been nitpicky on all of them over the years and now they're bloody, better than me probably. So, if everyone's open to getting that feedback, and also we can use each other's and be like, oh shit, I love what that lady said. That's the best way to say it. I'm going to use that. So don't just have it in your head, write it out, put it somewhere where it's recorded, and let's open a conversation, because it's so helpful if you get your effective praise right. It sets you up to go into discipline. That's why discipline is the second pillar. If you've got your effective praise right and you know that you're doing these things to fill your child's love bucket and praise buckets during the day, then you have every right that once that's got them a little bit filled, when it comes to discipline, you can be strong and you can be firm. I don't believe in what do they call it? Gentle parenting, right? Where it's all permissive parenting. I don't believe that sets a child up for life. I think that builds codependency and I think it removes resilience and adaptability. So conscious parenting is not gentle parenting. So when you go into conscious discipline, it's like, yeah, these are the boundaries, and you can be firm, and you will be firm, and you're never going to cause damage to your kid, or you're never going to crush them if you've got their bucket full from love languages and from the way that you speak when it comes to praise. You will never touch your child's self-esteem if you pull them up on 10 things they do wrong today, so long as you've also pointed out the 20 things they got right. The only time it's going to crush them and break them down and really erode their sense of self is when the only thing they hear from you are even the 5 things, the 2 things they got wrong. But if they were the only things they got from you, and they didn't get the, 5 effective praises or 10 effective praises, that you notice the effort they make and you appreciate something about them and you describe what you've seen that they've done, like, then it starts to diminish them. Okay. But if you're doing all of that, you can go into conscious discipline pretty hard without a worry. Yep. Cool. Thanks, Deb.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right. I think that's it for tonight. Let me just double check. Pretty sure I got to everyone, yeah? Serena, Deb, Christy. I think Christy's not here though. She's been in surgery today. No, she's not here.
Holly, can I just ask, you said in the first section about
wait, let me find you on the screen.
It's Amanda Mitchell. Sorry.
Amanda Mitchell. Wait, give me a second, because I've got the screen set up differently because hang on a minute. Yes, darling, go ahead. Now I've got you.
So in the first call that you did, you mentioned a food lady, Talia.
Oh, yeah.
Something around principles of food, or what the part of the body the food. So I just wanted to say, could you remember to put that in or tell us who that?
Let me do it here. Oh, literally, like, she's big. She's mostly big on TikTok and Instagram. She is on Facebook as well, but most of her stuff is TikTok and Insta. She is. It's. I'm putting it in the thing right now. It's Family Snack Nutritionist. Right? She has an online program. It's like only a couple $100. I think it's like $300 or something. Dave did it right in the beginning. And she came into our community and did a thing a couple of years ago. Can you see that in the chat? So she's Family Snack Nutritionist with dots in between. She's a pediatric dietitian. So she works with kids specifically in nutrition. And a lot of you'll see for yourself, the way that she'll like say things to kids around food is you'll be like, oh, this is in the parenting program, basically. But she just makes it very relative to being food related. She's brilliant. I love her. She definitely, helped us, helped Zach a lot, helped Dave. She really helped Dave. It was a bit hard for Dave to receive from me in the early days. And now he'll say, he felt quite intimidated that I have these, what he says is, 3 superhumans is what he says. And then he felt like, it was only him that was comparing my kids to his kid or whatever, right? And so it was really hard for him to hear advice from me. So I just stopped and then I suggested he connect with Talia, and then he went and did her program, and that opened him up a lot. And then after that, he was also open to, discussing things with me, or, I don't think that I know, and I always say, I don't know, babe, you raise your child how you want to raise your child. I'm not here to tell you how you should raise your child. Like, everyone raises their children whatever feels right to them. I can make some suggestions, but I don't think that you should raise your kid any particular way. It's, that's your journey. So she was very, very, very helpful. And that was for someone that didn't even have a conscious parenting background at all. Like, he hadn't looked at my program, he hadn't done it. To be honest, he didn't want to hear about it. All it did was intimidate him and make him feel like he's less than, if he was to watch one of my videos, because then he's like, it made him feel really nervous to live with me, because he's like, oh, fuck, now you're probably watching every fucking word I say and every single thing I do. And, all that. It was really uncomfortable for him. So yeah, she was really good for that. So she brings consciousness into it as well. Family Snack Nutritionist.
And then there was the other one about what food was for what part of your body.
Oh,
mentioned
yeah,
that.
that's
What was
called,
that one?
thank you. That's called the Doctrine of Signatures. I'll put that here.
Yeah,
Like this
I'll definitely look at that
Doctrine
either.
of Signatures. And with that, type that in thingo, what is it, Google, with either Don Tolman and Tyler Tolman. They are the ones that I learned all of that from. Don is the father. I don't know if you know Don and Tyler, but Tyler is the son. Don is, I mean, he's actually called the what's it called? They call him like Cowboy Don, like he's basically like the medicine man of the world, basically the natural medicine man, the holistic medicine man, to the point where he's had governments after him trying to kill him, and they tried to kill him in Las Vegas a few years ago because he shares the truth on the pharmaceutical industry and food and using food as medicine, to the point where he did a speech in a university to a whole bunch of oncologists, and some oncologists, he's had 80, well, last time I talked, I interviewed him on my radio show a few years ago. He had like 86 people, oncologists, quit their careers as oncologists once he did a 2-hour speech to the oncology unit in a university over in America. So anyway, they teach true healing. They you know, for 40, 50 years, Don Tolman's been helping people heal through fasting. These are people who are Tyler. I know someone myself that I just sent to Tyler about 3 months ago, and stage 4 liver and something cancer, liver and something else. Anyway, can't remember right now. Liver and anyway, whatever, stage 4, literally got told to pretty much get their, you know, like get themselves in order and hopefully they'll make it to Christmas. And they went and did a fasting retreat, and, you know, did all these health protocols and things like that. And then they went to their doctor only a few weeks ago and literally got the absolute all clear. This is within 2 months of doing it. And they got told, oh, it's just spontaneous remission. Oh, sometimes that happens. We don't know what causes that, right? So they talk about it. They're deep on food. Yeah, Tyler is the son. Tyler is a bit more like modern age. Like he's actually done nutrition degrees and things like that as well. Still has all the ancient wisdom of his dad, but his dad, Don, is all ancient. I mean, he used to go and live like in the mountains with, you know, like in the blue zones and stuff with people that were the average age of, you know, dying is like 130 to 150. And he would live in those places for 6-12 months throughout his life. And he would look at how do they live and what prolongs their life. And, you know, they're 130 years old and they're still walking 5 kilometers a day and all this kind of stuff. And then he would bring that amazing ancient wisdom back and teach it. And yeah, anyway, yeah, they're amazing. Yeah. Yeah, fast like a girl is good. That's specifically for fasting, you know, as a girl, as a woman, because you should fast according to where you are at in your cycle. Yeah, the Blue Zone documentary is really good, Shara. It is really good. But Doctrine of Signatures, I don't know if you typed it in, if it's even a thing, or if that's what the Tolmans made up, kind of, or what they teach. So type in Tyler Tolman Doctrine of Signatures or Don Tolman Doctrine of Signatures, and you'll get it all. I've done a few of their courses and weekend events and things like that, and that's where I learned it all. But yeah. Yeah, Tyler's actually part of the conscious community, like my other community that's nothing to do with parenting, but it's all on consciousness. And he did an exclusive workshop for us in March and in April. April was specifically on how to detox from the COVID vaccine if you took it and didn't want to and wish you hadn't, how to get that out of your body. And in March he did, so I'm saying this because if you really want to know more about Tyler, to join the conscious community, it's $24 a month, right? And you can cancel anytime. So probably the cheapest way to get information is pay $24, even if it's just for 1 month, and cancel before your next payment comes out. It's no problem. And then once you are in the conscious community, you get access to all of the replays we've ever done since we started that community, which is 2 years ago. So every month there's a different workshop on a different topic. You can see all the different topics on the website when you go to the page. But sometimes we get guest speakers. Shana Pierce, that was on here tonight, that's just left. She's actually a kinesiologist. She's been one of our speakers back in January. But anyway, and Tyler's workshop that he did that was exclusive for our community in March was amazing. Just at understanding health and fasting and, you know, food and juicing and all that kind of stuff. So if that interests you and you know, want to know about that and you don't want to go pay, you know, $1,000 to do some kind of program or workshop with Tyler right now, then for $24 you can get that replay in the conscious community. Cool. Awesome, guys. Oh, hang on. I'll tell you what I'll do. So you just sent that, the person who just sent me that message, you just sent that to me privately. I don't know if you meant to or publicly, but anyway, I won't say it out loud. So you go to, I'll give you the link. holyeffect.com/the-conscious-community. So that community has nothing to do with parenting. Doesn't mean you can't talk about parenting, but it's all other areas of your life. If you want to work on your own personal growth and who you are as a person, on all of your own wounds, you know, separate from your parenting, like outside of being a mother, you know, you're also a person, then that's what we do in the conscious community. We work on relationships, like healing, trauma. The workshop for June is on procrastination and overthinking. So if you're someone that procrastinates a lot, or you've got lots of patterns of overthinking and getting stuck in your head, it's a 2-hour, they're all 2-hour workshops. They're always on Sunday evenings, just once a month. I'm taking the workshop next month on procrastination and overthinking. And yeah, if you kind of want to unpack that and know why you do it and how to break that cycle, then now's a good time to join. Because if you pay $24 now, you can have all the replays, and then you'll get access to that workshop. And then if you want to, you can cancel. It's no problem. Like we don't even need to hear from you to cancel. You just log into your back office, click on subscriptions, and turn it off. Like it's that easy. Yeah. All right, beautiful people. Well, we're covered a lot tonight. Excellent to have you here. I will see you next week. If you do want any information about anything, reach out to me. You're always welcome. If there's, you know, something you want to know about, like I had a few of you reach out to me this week, including you, Amanda Mitchell, about the retreat, the Happy to Hold retreat. I was so excited. Yeah, like, it's okay. You can reach out to me privately. Like everyone's like, oh, Holly, I'm so sorry to reach out. I'm like, hey, it's okay. Like, I love it. I love connecting, and, you know, you're not taking up my time. I manage my time. I just won't respond to you if I don't have time. And when I get the chance, I will. So you're never bugging me. Okay. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you want to know about any of the retreats or the conscious community or whatever else. All right. Okay. Good night, beautiful people. Have an excellent week, and I'll see you back next Tuesday.